Previously on Quest Friends.
Oh boy, I'm sure excited to meet the queen and give her this gift that I got for her. And it's a macaroni drawing that says, I love you, Heart Berry.
Are you asking the queen for medicine?
What sort of medicine does she need?
I don't know, she got down with this weird sickness. It was like she got bitten by a spider or something.
Look, Shock will turn back to the guy and say, I swear to you, on my honor as a wizard, that if you assist us in getting inside the palace, you will find medicine for your daughter.
You realize, Misha, you don't remember anything.
It happened again! No!
What is everyone else doing?
So while that banter was happening, Shock just went down with one last telepathic message to Misha saying, it's okay, Misha Jarvis. I'm not going to die here. I'm gonna come back for you.
Everyone else thought you were still on the outside, but I saw you with my own two eyes. I knew you were clever enough to get inside of here.
Polish. I'll present me to the gears then.
The sun rises the same in Fasten. Every day, it gently rests its warm beams over each wooden slat of each hand-built house, and the townsfolk slowly rise from the full embrace of their woolen sheets to the comforting prospect of another day, same as the last, and same as the next. Some might find the consistency stilting, but the townsfolk of Fasten know that, in a world where 1 week can change entire landscapes, it's important to preserve spaces outside of time. And as the sleepy town slowly awakes, so too do 4 weary adventurers, each with their own story to tell. So it's later in the day when Shock originally woke up from that whole experience in Charmonde. You were able to talk a little bit to Mako, but he made it pretty clear that it was important that everyone took a day to rest and relax while he got everything kind of fixed and was able to meet with you. So Mako says he's going to meet with you tomorrow, but has made a very big importance that everyone takes the day to explore the town of Fasten, which is this adorable tiny little town a couple hours away from Charmonde, if you're going by water-powered land boats. So everybody is going to have their own little moment of time to explain kind of what they're doing over the course of this day. And we're going to start with Shock, who is actually the same as Jacques. I just am finally pronouncing his name right after 2 entire arcs.
It's fine. Shock would never correct someone how to pronounce his name.
Oh no!
Quick question. Should we describe our mechanical level-ups first before we get into the story time, or...?
Yeah, and I mentioned a couple of episodes ago that I was getting rid of the typical leveling up, and we were going to level up at the end of each arc. So we have done 2 arcs, which means we are leveling up from Tier 1 to Tier 3. That gives us a whole bunch of goodies to play with, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to focus on 2 things. We're going to focus on skills, which are basically things that make any sort of task easier, and then there are also abilities, which are special things that people can do that just other people just flat out can't. Like, I can try my hardest to lift something, I can't even try to shoot laser beams from my eyes. I mean, I have, but it hasn't had any sort of result, while at least lifting something has had minimal effect.
That's disappointing, Kyle.
I know, it's so sad. Although I actually was Cyclops, he wears pretty cool shades, so I'd be cool wearing those shades all the time. Anyways, Tom, how did you level up?
Well, because I was on top of things and leveling up the whole time, I was actually mostly to Tier 3 before we decided to make our switch.
Boo!
So my level up is not as dramatic as some others, but Shock has a couple of new things. The rest of the party would have noticed as we traveled with Shock, but anytime he gets some free time, he's off on his own doing some minor magic tricks, like playing around with cards, trying to, get coins out from behind his own ear, that sort of thing. Not the sort of magic necessarily that nanos do, but he's been very interested in sleight of hand and magic tricks. And if ever asked about that, he would just say that, as a great wizard, he wants to cultivate and understand all forms of magic. So Shock is now specialized in sleight of hand, because this is what I did for my last 2 level ups, just focused on getting this skill up. And this level up, I took the ability Countermeasures, which I will describe in character later on. Don't worry about it.
This will kind of get into the story. So Shock, you no longer have the spiders. When you woke up after getting that beautiful hugging moment with all your friends, you realized that you were able to, for the first time in a week, think clearly. And I don't know if you tested it at all, or if there's anything you did to try to be am I still getting the visions? Can I do esoteries easier? Is there spider in me? Was there anything you did to check for that?
So I would guess that Shock would feel the difference, right? And knowing what they went there to do and what he just went through, I think he can put 2 and 2 together. But if he spoke with Mako at all, in the immediate aftermath, he probably would have asked if, there were any lingering effects, if there were still spiders in there, that sort of thing.
Mako wouldn't have gone into detail, but he would have told you that he was able to basically get most of it out.
Okay.
The important mechanical thing is that you don't get a penalty for doing intelligence things anymore.
Whoa.
So you're no longer useless.
Whoa.
So with this new kind of swing in your step, what are you doing for your day off?
After getting the news that Mako wanted them to take a day off, Shock might have seemed a little huffy. It's hard to say, because he still isn't very good at expressing his emotions, but the party might have noticed he felt a little off, and he decided to go off into the marketplace. And he is going to try to hunt down a merchant who deals in microchips or other spare parts.
You've been going from stall to stall, Amy's Anine accessories, Jacques' Mustache Emporium.
Get the fuck out.
And you're currently at Harold Houdano's House of Escapes, which has a whole manner of escape things, nothing nearly as impressive as how this stall has escaped the definition of house, because it's really just kind of like a cardboard box. There's not really much to it, but you're pretty desperate at this point. So you're standing there and you've been talking to this guy a little bit. How has this negotiation been going with Harold Houdano?
Oh, Shock is looking for something fairly specific. He's definitely received an upgrade to his offensive power, and he has a lot of different abilities, but he's very concerned about protecting himself and the rest of the party. So Shock wants to improve those defensive capabilities. So he's looking for the sort of chip that could give him, a command signal, sort of thing that would make anything connected to the data sphere or nanites or any such effect shut down or cancel out.
You've been talking to this guy. He's been pulling out a whole variety of definitions of chips, one of which seems to be just a piece of cardboard that he kind of magic markered a chip drawing on. You haven't had a whole lot of success trying to get things from this guy, but you've kept on negotiating, and eventually after a while, you see Lowell, that boy who was in the room when you woke up, kind of lean against it and turn to you and just say, "Listen, man, I told you, it's the chip thing is right over there." And he points over to Cherry's chip stand, which sells a whole variety of potato chips.
Shock gives him a clearly frustrated side eye and doesn't say anything to him at first.
"Listen, man, if you're not going to tell me anything, I can't help you find the chip you want. I don't even know your name is Shock, right? That's what people seem to call you?"
Shock steps away from the stall he's at, and without really looking back at Lowell, just says, "Yeah, that's my name. Why are you here?"
"See, Shock. Now we have a start. We're going somewhere, buddy. And I said, I am here to help you find a chip. So what are you looking for?"
Shock lowers his hood, opens the hatch in the side of his head, and points to the interface there and says, "I would thought you would know by now, all things considered."
That is disgusting. But it does explain a lot.
He shuts it and pulls the hood back up. "It's just my spell book, Think of it like that."
And as you keep walking, you suddenly find yourself by this big shed that has a lot of hammering and whirring sounds from within it. And as you turn over to look at it, you see Lowell standing in the doorway, and he looks back at you and says, "Hey, there's a whole lot of metal in here. I mean, that's what chips are made out of, right?
Shock enters the building.
Yeah, so you enter the building and you do see a whole bunch of stuff in it. It seems like a big shed. There are a couple of things being worked on, a couple of like inventions, suits, some Numenera that seems to be modified. And in the center of it, working on a fairly hefty vehicle, is a pretty and pretty buff woman with a bit of a handlebar who turns over to you and says, "Hey, how can I help you? I sound like Mako. I'm going to change my voice. Just give me a second to think about it. You can talk to me while I figure out what my new voice is."
I apparently need to figure out Shock's voice, too. I feel like I'm doing it wrong.
We're having a weird day here today. Sometimes the data sphere just like, kind of Freaky Fridays are voices.
Shock, reminded, as if by divine intervention, closes his eyes, sits down on the ground, and contacts the data sphere with my connection power.
Hey, Jacques. Long time no see, buddy. We were scared for a moment. We couldn't even contact you. Oh, hey, you made a friend. And Lowell, who's kind of in the corner, turns back to you and waves. It's nice to see you're finally getting to know people for once, Jacques.
Shock doesn't say anything for a moment.
What can I help you with? Or are you just here to talk to us for once? Because it has been a while.
I'm looking for a specific part, a control chip. Where can I find it in town?
You can feel the spirit almost leave you for a second and kind of like leave through the door as if a gust of wind. And then it comes back and says, well, I mean, there was a chip stand outside. And Lowell pipes in, that's what I said. It sounds like you're not looking to eat anything. You hear them hum to themselves as they kind of move around the space. And finally, they come back and say, well, it seems like the kind of chip you're looking for seems to be what's on that nice lady over there's belt. And you can see that this woman has like this power drill with a slot at the bottom where she can slip out chips. And she has this whole belt, kind of like a Batman's utility belt, where she's able to flip out chips for different purposes as the head of the screwdriver thing kind of changes shape to whatever she's trying to fit it for.
Oh, well, that was easy. And Shock will pop back up, speaking to the one who's presumably just been standing here this whole time as Shock sits on the floor of the warehouse, say, I need that, please. And he'll point at the specific chip.
She's gonna look down and look up. I just want to make something clear. You're not, like, doing a stick-up or something right now, are you?
No, I have money. Do I have money?
In fact, Lowell pipes in. He says, do you have money? Or are we doing a stick-up? I need to know. I can't be involved in a stick-up. Shock.
I have money, and he fishes out 4 shins. I can also work for it. I work sometimes.
All right. Well, what can you do?
Do you need anything cut? Like some really thick metal?
Well, yeah, actually I do. And she goes back to the back of the vehicle and she kind of shows you some things that need to get cut and need to get taken care of.
All right.
And so we're going to flash forward to a few hours later. This woman, Lorelia, has been just super helpful. It looks like she seems to be the town mechanic. And so she's been helping you out. And especially once she found out that you were part of the party that brought in Mako to help heal Jerry's daughter, Rosemary, she's more than happy to give you that chip. And so now we're at the end of the day as you're leaving, and Lowell just says, nothing like a day of hard labor to get a chip for your brain.
Well, that was only just the start, you realize. And Shock sits down outside in the ground, opens up the hatch again, and sets up a mirror so he can see more clearly the slot where he plugs it in. And then Lowell would see him start tinkering with a glove. Shock's left hand is the one that has the glove for cutting light on it. But he starts building a second glove for his right hand with little mechanical bits that go over the knuckles and the fingers, almost up to the tips, and then stretch back into the glove by the wrist. And after a few minutes of piecing this together, he holds it up, shuts the hatch in his head, and starts flexing his fingers in the air, and a sort of holographic light display appears in front of it and can be moved around a little bit. And then Shock nods and says, with this I can shut down just about anything, as long as it's Numenera anyway. I can deflect attacks, I can turn things off. I have to be touching it in order to use it, but this will work. And then Shock will stand up again, face Lowell, and say, you've been here all day, and you still haven't answered my question. Why are you here? do you want with me? Why are you in my head?
All right, Hop. So now it is your day.
Should I do my level up stuff?
Yeah. What are your new skills and abilities?
Well, my new skills, this isn't a new skill, but my parkour skill, I am now specialized in. So parkour all day, every day. And then I also gave myself skills in perception and stealth.
Okay.
And then my abilities, blah, blah. I gave myself experienced adventurer. I definitely know what that does off the top of my head. And I definitely typed it in my thing. Ow. Oh, I found it. When I use a non-combat skill successfully, if I did not roll a natural 19 or 20, I can apply a level of effort after the roll to get a minor special effect.
Yeah, so if you climb something and you succeed, you can put an effort to succeed a little better than usual.
Real good, because I'm an experienced adventurer.
Not real good, because it's not a major effect. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Hop's pretty, and he succeeds pretty good.
Yes. And then my other thing, I now have mind reading abilities, which we flavored as the influence of the pin, because I've had it on me for so long.
Ah, that's a good idea.
Because Hop doesn't have any, magic abilities, but the pin lets him tell what people are thinking with his excellent observation skills, and we're flavoring it. I get 3 questions, 2 yes or no, 1 open-ended, right?
Yeah, so the way I have it written down in your character sheet is, by analyzing their mannerisms, you can interpret the inner thoughts and feelings of a target. You can ask the GM 3 questions about what the target is thinking. 2 must be yes or no, but the third can be open-ended. And that's not like you have to ask 2 yes or no and then 1 open-ended. You could start with an open-ended question and ask 2 yes or no.
So that's what Hop's got going on.
So that's what he's got going on skill-wise.
Skill-wise.
But what's he got going on life-wise? What's he doing in this day, in this town?
Well, life-wise, I think he was the only one wearing his normal clothes throughout this whole sewer adventure. And he likes his clothes, so he's gonna go get them properly cleaned at a dry cleaner's today. They need a professional cleaning.
You go into the dry cleaners, which is this pretty small establishment kind of off the main road. And as you enter, you see this large, hairy man who turns over to you and says, "Oh, Mr. Scotch, why does everyone sound like Mako?"
Because his voice is the best, obviously.
Fuck it. Okay. He's like, "Hey, and now I sound like a little boy." In fact, yes, you're gonna see a little boy. You're going to see a man and a large hairy man in the back who's been working on dry cleaning. And you're going to see a little boy turn around who's been drawing with a pencil that shoots out pieces of macaroni. And he's going to say, "Well, hello, Mr. Scotch. It's super nice to meet you again. Thanks for saving my sister."
"Oh, hey, Barry. Yeah, nice to see you."
"Well, hi. I'm in charge of taking orders today. Can I help you?"
Well, so he would have changed into, what his other clothes are in his explorer's pack.
All right, what are his other clothes?
I don't know. They're the same as it's just another, button-up shirt. He's only got the one jacket and hat and stuff, but he has, extra button-ups and khaki pants or whatever in his...
Can I ask the GM flavor, that the reason you don't wear it normally is that there's a little tag on the side that says "Cool Kids Come from Key"?
No, why would I have that? Is that...
Because it's something you just got on your adventures.
You just picked it up. He only cares about the one good set of clothes he has. He tries to wear that most often, which is why he's going to get them nicely cleaned today. So he's wearing his stupid extra clothes that he doesn't like, that is a tourist shirt that he bought from G. And he's going to hold out his normal clothes he's holding. He's like, "Well, these got kind of dirty after our whole debacle there. So, can I have these cleaned today?"
"Oh, of course. Do you have money?"
"I do. How much would it cost?" "I have 13 shins."
That's too much money.
"How about, 10 shins?"
Oh.
8 shins. 5 shins. 2 shins.
He just gets a tap on his, from his dad, who kind of just motions and gives him 2 fingers up, and he's like, 2 shins.
All right, 2 shins, and I will hand them to the kid.
Thank you. Can I have your clothes, please, for dry cleaning?
Yes, you may. And then I'll hand them to him.
Okay. And he kind of slumps over all these clothes. And he, like, the hat, I think, just kind of fell on his head and is, like, covering everything except for his mouth. And he gets off of this stool that he was on and he starts kind of waddling to the back. And as he does that, the door opens and you see a frowning man. Oh, this time it's more awkward and anxious than angry, with a large mustache walk up to you and say, Mr. Scotch?
Yes, how can I help you?
So, back in Charmande, you said you would write me a letter of recommendation?
Oh, this is Don?
Yeah.
I would recognize Don, so I would change that to, like, what can I do for you, Don?
Okay, and then he says what he says.
Okay, yeah, that still holds. When do you want it by?
Well, I'm applying for a job in 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Why didn't you give me a warning?
I was busy applying.
Good. Okay. Can I say I have, like, a notebook?
No.
No?
I'm gonna say you left your notebook at home because
God.
you were carrying all the clothes.
Okay.
If you want, I can make it a GM intrusion, but no, you don't have a notebook.
I don't have a notebook. Can I turn to Barry's dad? Is he still in the background, and ask how long it will take for my clothes to be cleaned?
You just hear the whirring and washing of the dry cleaners. You hear whatever sounds happen to the dry cleaners, and it's kind of overwhelming whatever you're yelling.
Coat hangers squeaking by on poles. That's what dry
just a
cleaners
bunch of
sound like.
squeaking coat hangers. In fact, one of the hangers you could swear is just staring at you and going, squeak, 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 squeak.
All right, well, I'm sure this will take like an hour or so. Would it help if I went with you?
If you would be willing to.
Well, I don't have time to write you a letter. I didn't know you had an interview in 5 minutes.
Okay, I guess we're gonna have an interview.
Well, what did it be? I didn't...
Yeah, so you flash forward and you are at the interview for kind of a caravan near the outside of town that seems to be kind of going from place to place and needs someone to help them move things and provide a little bit of support. Some of the job requirements, as Don says, is the ability to stay standing for 72 hours straight,
Okay.
which he claims is about like half of what he's used to.
Okay.
So yeah, you're gonna walk up and you're gonna see this lady. She's gonna turn over and say, Don, it's a pleasure to see you today. Here for the job application? Yep, yes I am, and this is my letter of recommendation, Hopper Scotch. I didn't know letters look like people now.
Hi. This is so... I didn't know he had an interview today, so I didn't have time to write a proper letter, so I thought I'd come by and just offer my recommendation in person.
Okay, so what can you tell me about Don's ability to do a heavy labor, starting with all of his positions over the last 7 years?
I haven't known Don for very long, but for the short time that I have known him, he has lifted many a heavy object, and well.
Such as what?
Can I roll a memory roll to see if I can remember literally any time I've actually seen him?
This is a roll-less session.
Fine. He lifted a big rock once. Hopper's just lying now.
Oh, a big rock, you say? How big was it?
Bigger than most rocks.
Oh, I've seen some pretty big rocks. And Don's gonna lean over to you and say, what are you doing? I don't like to lie. I don't like rocks. They're coarse and hurt my hands, and they're all pointy. They have a million stabs in them.
They get everywhere. He lifted a grown woman once who was unconscious, and unconscious people are usually heavier than conscious people.
There's a long
Well,
pause.
it wasn't weird. It was like...
And you can see...
we were getting her out of a dangerous situation. It wasn't
and
weird.
You can see a tumbleweed just slowly go by all your feet. Then the woman looks back and says, that seems like a pretty good reason to hire somebody. But how can you prove that you can do it?
I can't prove anything for Don. I'm just his reference. I'm just here to tell you he's a really hard worker. He's good at what he does. He's got a lot of stamina. I think he'd be a good hire.
Mr. Scotch, have you lifted individuals in the past? Are you a good frame of reference of how impressive it is to lift up an individual conscious or unconscious?
Well, 5 minutes before Don did it, I tried to lift this unconscious individual, and I needed help, but Don did it.
All right, Mr. Scotch. I will give Don the job under one condition.
Oh.
And she climbs on top of the caravan and turns her back to you, and you just hear her say, "Catch me!"
Me? Why me?
And I think that's going to be the end of our session with Don. Hi, welcome to the announcement break for episode 18 of Quest Friends, the podcast you are currently listening to. My name is Kyle. I am the GM of the game and the announcer of the announcement break. As always, our intro and outro song are Friends and Hitoshio, both by Miracle of Sound. And announcement-wise, I've got 2 things for you. The first is that we have an official, actual website. It has your typical kind of stuff, cast and character bios, a link to all of our episodes. It also has links to all our social media accounts because we've got a lot more of those now. Specifically, we have a Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram. The website also features some fun bonus features, such as character sheets, an artwork gallery, and my personal favorite, a section called The Story So Far, which contains about a 2 to 4 sentence summary of each individual episode. So if you'd like to get caught up on the plot so far, but you don't really want to go back to the older episodes and just want to start listening now, that part of the website will be really helpful to look at. Again, that website is questfriendspodcast.com. The other announcement is that our next episode is going to start the next arc of our story. And if you want a little sample of what might be happening during that arc, we have a little promo teaser that will be premiering at the end of this episode. So just listen to the end of the music and then the promo will start playing. Besides that, that's all I've got. My only call to action is to check out the website and or check out the promo. And of course, tune in with us for our next episode on Monday, July 9th. I'll see you then. We are on to Ellie now. Ellie's day. So Ellie, tell me about your upgrades.
I mean, first of all, do I sound enough like a normal person, or do we need to play it that Ellie is sick?
I think
you're
fine.
Sound like
You're
normal?
fine.
Okay.
I wouldn't have known. Well, now I know, because you coughed, but...
Way to ruin the illusion, Emily.
So, as far as my level up, I may have accidentally leveled my focus up to tier 3 at Penny and Pocket without realizing it, because in the Focus Fuses Flesh and Steel, you can incorporate a weapon into your body. I did that, not realizing that it was a tier 3 level up.
Yeah.
So, we kind of played fast and loose with what we leveled up. We did some skills. So, I have lifting heavy objects.
Why don't they just hire you?
Okay, anyway, I also am now trained in Might Defense.
Ooh.
And the most important level up, I am trained in babysitting.
What?
I feel like this is a very personal attack on certain members of this party.
Also, as far as my weapons being upgraded, you know how like a taser has those wires and you shoot it out and they're connected to the wires?
Yeah, I was nodding, but I realized my camera's off. Oops.
So my Wolverine fist, I can now shoot out the little weapons and then draw them back in with wires.
Yeah, essentially, we had decided that during this break period, Ellie will have pulled out the claws and then basically use just like chicken wire to attach them to her hands. So now she can use them short or shoot them out as a ranged weapon. I'm going to say that the ranged weapon is worth 4 just because part of the reason the claws were so powerful is they supplemented your punch.
Yeah, which makes total sense. And I gained inner defense. which is trained in resistance to efforts to discern feelings, beliefs, or plans. Also resisting torture, telepathic intrusion, and mind control.
So essentially anyone tries to mess with their brain, they're gonna have a bad time.
Ellie will just think about all the times she's pounded metal directly into her flesh.
Okay, and with that cheery thing, let's get on the subject of the babysitting skill.
Well, I also, do we need to play through this weird healing process, or can I just, heal myself?
You can just heal yourself. So one of the things is that healing is a bit weird for Misha and Ellie, and each of them have their own little modifications. So for Ellie, we've decided instead of doing what we normally do, she's just going to lose her first recovery roll of each day. Just because that's easier than kind of what they have in the rule book. Alright, so Ellie, this is your day off. What are you doing?
Well, I was kind of hoping to invite Mauve for a walk, because with all this using my fists as heavy weapons, I may have dulled the blades a little bit. Probably not, but getting your hand blades sharpened is a really good bonding activity for older women.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to invite Mauve out to go get my claws sharpened.
Okay, so you are outside of the metal cure station, and you're just kind of sitting on the bench, and Mauve, after a bit of an awkward silence, is going to turn over and say, "Alright, I'm going to be honest, I'm not quite sure why you invited me to get my claws sharpened. I don't have claws."
Well, so I tend to be a very forward person with what I'm thinking, and so I'm just gonna lay it out there. I'm here to get my claws sharpened and try to bond with you. Because we are both older women who are badass, and I feel like it would be beneficial to be allies.
Well, I appreciate the compliment. She raises her hand, and you can see jutting out of it is the end of her rapier, kind of jutting out of the her sleeve. And she says, "Do you think if I keep it underneath my sleeve, they'll think it's part of my hand and I can get it sharpened?"
I mean, it's worth a try, and if not, we can always just, look really scary, and they'll do it anyway.
Well, I suppose so. I don't know what you're going on about us not being allies, though. You helped me save my husband. Not just anybody would do that.
Well, I mean, you helped save those allies I've been traveling with.
You gotta... Someday you're gonna have to admit when friends are friends.
Those friends have gotten themselves into a lot of trouble. I want friends that are gonna stick around, and I don't know if these ones will.
Yo!
She's gonna turn over to you and look back and says, "I know, I'm planning on talking to him, but his heart was in the right place when he ran off without you. It's hard to remember that sometimes."
I can punch anything that comes at them if I'm there.
Well, then I guess the important thing to do is to be there. And if you leave them, well, that's the farthest from there you can get.
Don't I know it?
And you sit there for a little bit, and suddenly you hear a woman screaming, "My baby! My baby!" And then she runs up to you, "I need someone to watch my baby!"
Calm down, lady! I thought an Anine was carrying your baby off! Chill!
No! That filthy and mean ex-husband of mine tried to, but I got child rights.
Child rights! Congratulations!
But now I need my metal cure done, and I need someone to watch my baby!
Ooh! You getting a metal cure too?
Yes! It's for the knives in my throat! That's why I sound like this!
Are those very useful?
Absolutely not! But I can't eat that much with my teeth, so it helps cut up the food!
What the fuck, Kyle?
I'm sorry, just give me a minute.
Will you watch my baby?
Kyle, you saw a sincere moment and thought, no, we gotta make it weird again.
I gotta ruin it.
Oh my god.
Okay, Okay, guys, I'm okay. I can do this. Well, I guess I can't leave a fellow metal body in need. I could watch it for a minute.
As you say that, you just see a trail of dust as the woman has already run in, and you just hear a brief voice say, "Why, thank you."
Where's the baby?
Oh, the baby's in the carriage right in front of you.
Okay.
And it is sickeningly adorable. It's just like, it's sitting there, and it's all squishy, and it's like, it looks like a little old man. You know, like how the really cute babies just look like really old, grumpy men. They're just like, meh.
Ellie puts on the toughest face she can, because she's tough.
The baby stares at you stone-faced for a second, and then just starts crying.
Shit, what do I do?
I don't know.
Mom, fix it.
I don't know. The oldest kid I work with is Everett.
He's like a baby.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Can we give him a hat? That's what I do when Everett gets upset. How are you gonna take care of this baby? You got that skill in babysitting. You're gonna fucking earn it.
I'm gonna, take out my claws turn around, not facing the baby, just so there's no chance, and take out my claws, and then turn around and hold them up in the air, and move my hand back and forth so that the sun shines on them, and they sparkle.
The baby stops crying for a little bit, and it's like, oh, and then starts crying again.
Okay, that's actually probably for the best, because, if it reached for it. For the
Do you want me to go back and have it reach for it instead?
No!
Yeah, no, it starts crying.
No!
And
No, you don't let us redo rolls. I am not gonna let you go and make this terrible.
You go, well, no, but when you retract your claws, it cries harder.
I'm gonna lean down, kind of kneel on the ground so my head is about level with the baby, and I'm gonna move my head back and forth and let all the things on my hat kind of jingle.
Oh! And then it seems to be getting better, but it looks like it could cry any second.
Oh. I want to take one of the, pearl strings off and wave it in front of the baby, oh, look at this! And then I'm gonna hum.
And as you hum this tune, the baby slowly starts to calm down and starts to actually fall asleep. And it's a little bit later, and the woman has come back and she's gotten her baby. The second she started talking, the baby actually remained quiet because it's used to her horrible knife-filled throat. And
before the baby leaves, I want to pluck one of the silk flowers off my hat and give it to the baby.
Okay. The baby starts holding on to it and then puts it in its mouth. It doesn't swallow it, but it just goes as babies are wont to do with anything they are given.
Ellie's gonna look at it for a second, should I stop this? It's really dirty. But then she'll think about it and babies put everything in their mouth. It's gonna be fine.
As you do that, as you leave, Mauve is gonna turn over and say, well, you're a real natural at this, aren't you?
That's the first time I guess I've thought about it like that. Generally, I think about the opposite.
Sometimes we're the people who have the toughest time seeing our own skills.
Ellie clears her throat and says, you know what, but speaking of songs, have you heard that kazoo? Have you?
Well, that's... I gotta say, I can't help but chuckle a little bit. I didn't say anything about a song. let's do our final episode of the day. So, Misha, before we get into everything, describe your new skills and abilities that you've gotten.
All right, so I have a new kazoo song.
Oh.
I got a new kazoo song, and I am going to say that Misha just has been kind of trying to learn new songs after, the one that they knew didn't really work as much for Suck that one time. So I have this aggression skill where basically it's this really annoying tune that if I play it, I just basically make them really primitive and angry and aggressive and stuff like that. And it mechanically just has an asset on the might-based attack rolls and stuff, but it's just a thing that really annoys them and helps people fight better. So that's a thing. Another thing that I have is Shock to the System. So that one, it's basically Misha floods the mind of a target with disturbing images and ideas and makes them unconscious or at least not able to function for 2 rounds on battle. And the way that I am going to flavor that is that Misha just hasn't been in the best of places recently, especially since they got their memories back the second time. And so basically it's when they just get too stressed and they just project it to whoever is next to them, which is kind of a problem.
Yeah, and the one thing to know about that for other players is that if that person gets damaged, the effect ends. So it's kind of like if you have a bad dream and somebody pinches you, you wake up. So if someone gets hit during Shock to the System, they get conscious and are probably more upset than they were before Misha knocked them out.
Yes. And then another ability that I got is Fling. So I am able to choose a creature or object that is my size or smaller and within short range, and I can violently launch it in a short distance. So I am going to just say that Misha doing the thing with Ellie last session kind of, it's not the only time that they have done it, or they did it and then they actually liked doing it, so they have been practiced doing it with Ellie for practice purposes. And so I want to specifically do it mostly with Ellie, so as a kind of dual attack where I just choose her and toss her to enemies for major damage since she's so heavy. So
yeah, the way
so happy.
Yes, other thing that I have that I didn't have, their connection to the datasphere has gotten stronger after they were able to regain the access to the datasphere after being it being so close, and it came back, but it came back kind of with a punch. So I have that datasphere update where basically at the beginning of one day I can receive a rush of images specifically for one specific thing on the datasphere, and I can become trained on a specific task each day just for that one day, basically by receiving images and stuff from there.
Yeah, and that'll be something I should explain about day mechanics is that if we go over the course of multiple days within a session, which for us every session is approximately every 2 episodes, if we go over multiple days, then Misha can update every day. Otherwise, once per session, Ari will be able to use this ability. And to distinguish it a little bit from Hallie's Flex ability, which is basically the same thing, Hallie's going to choose hers at the beginning of each session, and Ari will be able to use this ability basically whenever she wants, but only once and only for the remainder of that scene. Because, for example, our last arc took place over 1 day, and I don't want I don't want people to have 1-day abilities that they only get to use once every half a year.
Yeah, and that's actually how I have been taking the one that I had before, my Google thing. I have at the beginning of each session, or every session, have done it rather than every day.
Yeah. And
then I'm trained in throwing, but that's tied to the thing that I have with Ellie. And then I'm trained in a thing called Master of Disguise, because they really disguise themselves as something. They're still impaired in persuasion, so even though they could disguise themselves as something that they're not, it doesn't mean that they can convince people if they are asked what specifically they are. So it's kind of an interesting combination.
Misha can easily convince people that they're somebody, but then they're fucked beyond that.
Yeah. Basically.
One last ability we have is Overload Device, which is basically using the data sphere to deactivate a device. And we can go into more detail about that, I guess, when we use it.
So none of the things that I have necessarily require Misha to go out into town and get them. I mean, they are definitely not in a good place right now, and that's the thing. But I assume that most of them, they just got them by having the memories slowly come back after this arc and all the implications that come with it.
Yeah, let's get into that. So as Ari said, all of Misha's memories have come back, and they've come back kind of slowly. And one of the things that should be noted is that it's not like Misha's new memories have been overridden. It's not like, oh, you know, they have more memories about Ellie being named Ellie and not Ellie, but Misha has both of those memories, and it'll be up to Ari to figure out how they...
Yeah, so that's why they're kind of not in that best of places. It's because they still have conflicting information, and they have to figure out how to deal with that. So that's the thing.
Okay, so we're at the end of the day. The sun is kind of setting, because you said you spent most of the day just kind of catatonic, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, they were not necessarily catatonic. They were fiddling with their kazoo and such, but not really responsive. They were just, like, practicing some songs and stuff.
Getting out that aggression in that new tune, which I am so excited to hear. Okay, so we're near the end of the day. The sun is setting, and you've been doing that all day. So you've been sitting around most of the time. You've noticed, you know, people coming and going from the cabin that you were allowed to stay in, you know, some of the other party members as they've gone about their day. You saw once at one point a bunch of kids go to see some kid band or something, you know, band that performs
Kids Book.
for kiddos, and then they've come back. That seems to end, you know, pretty close to the end of the day. And then people are going in and out about their jobs.
Okay, by the time the kids or those come back, Misha's kind of come to a decision, and then what they're going to do is first they're going to look for a piece of paper or something that they can write something on, which I assume there will be something in the cabin somewhere.
Yeah, there'll be something on it.
All right. So Misha's going to pick the paper, write something down on it. It's going to put it in Shock's bed and take their scarf and put it also there. And then they're going to just grab some stuff, their bat and all of that. And then they're going to go out of the room and look for the kids that were outside in the plaza.
And they're chatting around, they're being like, oh my god, that was so good! I love that! Man, that was the best part of my tiny little time on this planet. There's nothing better than Barry's baritone band.
So Misha is going to approach the kids, and it's still going to be semi-serious, and then they're going to be like, oh, salutations, young humans. My name is, and they're going to introduce themselves as they always do. I could not help but overhear you talking about a spectacle that you attended, and I hear something about a band. Can you elaborate on it? I have been listening to you talk about it for a while, but I had just decided to come and inquire about it.
They all like kind of circle around you and kind of like a mini wave just push you towards the band. This mob is just rushing towards it, and they're like, Mr. Barry, and you see this guy who's like in like a suit and looks like middle-aged, and he's like, oh, well, actually, kids, my name is Barney. Oh, can I help you today?
Oh, salutations, Mr. I believe your nomenclature is Barry the baritone. My nomenclature is, and then Misha is going to introduce themselves as they do, and then they're going to be like, oh, I could not help but overhear that you are part of a band, and these young humans seem to be highly interested in your abilities. May I ask if you reside in this town, or what type of band do you form a part of?
Well, we are Barney Baritone Band. So it's me, I play the violin, and then we've got... And then we've got everyone else. Then we've got Emmy over there, who does the drums, and Jeffrey, who does some pretty cool guitar stuff. We don't have our baritone player anymore, but we're good old family fun for all kids to enjoy. Are your parents here?
Misha is going to first introduce themselves to the rest of the band, one by one, with their whole name, and then they're going to look at Barney, and they're going to be like, oh, my apologies, no, I do not have a recollection of who my parents or creators are, but this is besides the point.
In fact, you get a little upset at the word parents. Something inside you just gets upset when you hear that.
Okay, so when they hear that, they're going to look a little bit taken aback, and then they're going to say, "I do not have parental figures. Please refrain from inquiring this question again, Mr. Barney the baritone."
Just Barney is okay.
And they're going to look very straight at him when they say that. However, does your band always remain in this town to brighten the lives of these young humans?
Oh no, we go all throughout Navarine. I mean, these are dark times. With a war between Charmonde and Key brewing, kids around this country need all the happy and joyful music they can get.
Well, I have been practicing my own instrumental material, and then they're going to show the kazoo to Barney. I suppose what I am trying to convey is that I want to do different things from my past, and I believe that I have an instrument that I can procure and be part of a band. Therefore, I was wondering if you had an extra space for your group of humans for me to participate in.
Oh, a new band member? What do you play?
They are going to show the kazoo and say, "Well, you see, I was told that this instrument was rare and that it was able to have magical properties on humans. I have started to believe that this may not be the case, but I am still skilled on it."
He's going to look at that and say, "Oh, I think my nephew has one of those. Emmy, do you think we have space for another member?" And Emmy just shakes her head and gives him a big thumbs down. And he's like, "Yeah, no, I think we absolutely have space. Although we are going to have a little bit of an audition." Oh, do you have anything you can play on it?
"Oh, certainly, I have." And then they are going to think first of the two songs that they have played previously, and then they're going to be like, I actually have been practicing on a new song."
Go ahead.
Okay. So that's what they're gonna play, and they're gonna be like, I had that practice. I practiced that previously for somebody else, but I want to use it in my audition.
No.
So after that playing, there's a little bit of a silence, and Barney turns over to Emmy, who's giving him this like shrugging her shoulders and with a big frown, like, "What the fuck? Why are we still humoring this person?" And he turns over to you and says, "Yeah, you're in." And with that, we are not ending the episode. Instead, we're going to turn over back to Shock.
Okay.
Who has, at the end of kind of his day...
was fine.
And Jacques, you open the door to kind of the chambers you got, and Lowell's rambling, and he's saying things like, "I gotta admit, as gross as the brain thing is, and it's really gross, that is really neat. You're gonna have to teach me more about that sometime." And suddenly, your face gets covered, and, it feels as if someone's trying to smother you with, a clothy pillow, and eventually, the cloth goes down so you can see through your eyes, and you see that this purple scarf has wrapped itself around you, and is holding this note in front of your face. And, Ari, what does the note say?
What the fuck?
Sorry, the note says, "Here is the best part of me. I hope you remember me for that."
What is this episode?
I want for the record for our viewers to know that I was already softly crying on mute when Misha played Africa, which was going to be our song. Oh.
Look, it's still our song, okay?
It's
I
fine.
panicked. I'm
it's
sorry,
fine.
I
It's fine.
panicked.
Everything's. Oh god. Alright, let me compose myself. Shock is going to immediately turn to run out the door and say to the scarf, "Take me to them!"
To the scarf!
Yeah, and the scarf kind of like just pulls at your neck.
Shock is running and cursing himself for wasting his data sphere question now when he needs it most.
And Misha, you're packing all your stuff onto the back of the Anine, which the band uses to kind of carry their gear.
Misha, no!
And as you're about to get on, you can turn over and you see this scarf just fluttering as a 19-year-old boy just chases, trying to keep up with it, occasionally like tripping and having to hop to catch up.
Shock is going to run up, shouting, "Misha Jarvis!"
We're just gonna turn and narrow their eyes and say, Shock?
Misha, what? Are you leaving?
Shock, I do apologize, as this is not something that has to do with you or with Ellie B or with Simon Scotch at all. All of you are great companions, but I just I have done things that could put all of you in danger, and I do not want to risk this happening. Therefore, I am trying to step away from it before it happens again.
But we're all in danger all the time.
I am aware of it, but it's different. It's different being in danger from an external danger than being in danger because it's a danger that we cause, and this is something that I can cause and that I can generate danger to all of you. Therefore, it is better for me to step away because of that. You see, I remembered things while you almost went off to die, and I am afraid that I might be the one that causes it later. And then they're going to kind of look away a little bit.
Shock hangs his head slightly at the mention of him going off to die, but then looks up with renewed determination and says, "We've all done terrible things. Well, maybe not Hopperscotch. But we've all done bad things. It's okay. Please, you don't have to worry about me. I can be safe. I trust you."
But you see, I do not trust me, and being playing things, being on this band is less dangerous than being around somebody that I care about. You see, Shock, I removed someone's life, and they're going to their voice is kind of going to trail off as they say that, and they're going to be like, and I didn't know that I was doing it. I may have even enjoyed it. I am not entirely sure. My recollections are still not as great, but
we can work through it. I'm not afraid. If you did something while you weren't you, we can find a way to protect against that.
It could have been Ellie. What if it was her? Or what if it was Scotch? What if it was you?
Shock is going to pause for a moment considering that, and then just sort of, can I retcon something briefly? Can I say that up till now, this has been happening mentally, this conversation?
Yeah.
So that...
No, definitely. That's what I thought too.
Okay.
I wouldn't have said it just like in the middle of the street. No.
Then Shock shouts out loud, "I don't care! I don't want to be alone again! It happened before! People have hurt me before, but it's okay. I trust you. I can't go back to the way things were. Please don't go. We'll fix it, somehow. Well, okay, maybe we won't fix it, but we'll find a way to make it through it."
Misha's going to stare at Shock for a really, really long moment, and then they're just going to hug, to go into a hug.
Shock returns the fuck out of that hug.
And so you have that hug, and you tell Barney that you're not going to be part of his band anymore. He's used to it by this point, honestly. And you walk back to your cabin, and back in your cabin you see Hopperscotch nursing a surprisingly hefty amount of bruises on his shoulders, while Ellie sits in the corner humming to herself and looking at a random piece of memorabilia that she had pulled from her hat. And you look around at your friends, at the people you've gone through a lot with, and you're gonna go through a hell of a lot more with. And after a while, you all slowly, one by one, head to sleep, rested and ready for your next adventure. Quest Friends Theatre presents Don't Be Like Dunshire, a children's poem, written and performed by Lorraine Stiles. Deep in the steadfast lies a town made of glass, with a people so fragile they deserve a hard pass. Sure, it looks nice and shiny, with cute girls and cute boys, who stand straight to attention with adorable poise. But it's all a facade, a most terrible ruse. No, don't be like Dunshire, if you're able to choose. Don't be like Dunshire and tell secrets and lies and hide your hard feelings behind fake plastic smiles. Don't be like Dunshire and waste all your time on silly sideshows that don't earn a dime. Don't be like Dunshire and hide all alone as if the whole world were some deadly death zone. No, don't be like Dunshire. Don't be like Dumpshire. Don't be like Dunshire. It deserves utmost ire. Now, that being said, it isn't all bad. Even Dunshire has some joys to be had. And like a sweet bunny rabbit, but 10 times more smart, he'll hop, 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 hop his way into your heart. But oh no, oh woe, one day he'll fail too, and leave you all bored with nothing to do. But don't be like Dunshire. Give him a fresh chance to pull up those bootstraps and join one last dance. He might not deserve it, you might want to stray, but you're his best friend, you can't go away. So instead let him know, though not where or when, no fear, Hopperscotch, I'll see you again. Quest Friends Chapter 3 Questionable Measures will be premiering on Monday, July 9th. You can subscribe for updates on future episodes at questfriendspodcast.com or under Quest Friends on your favorite podcasting app. Be sure to sign up so you can receive the latest episodes as soon as they are released. After all, you don't want to keep her waiting.